The recreational substance marijuana or cannabis is the most widely found illicit drug used around the world. The U.S. DEA has classed marijuana as a Schedule I substance. The plant contains over 400 different chemical compounds. The most well-known and potent compound is THC. It is the main chemical in cannabis that causes the effect of being high. Another very important chemical found in the plant is cannabidiol, or CBD. Both of these chemical compounds can be found in acidic forms, also called THC acid and CBD acid. It is important to know that these active compounds are called cannabinoids. THC and CBD are both used for medical purposes. By aiming certain cannabinoids at different receptors, the person's body will be able to experience a variety of relieving sensations. Or delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol is the most popular cannabinoid. It is strongly psychoactive, which in turn causes one to feel a euphoric effect. THC has been used to conquer pain, nausea, sleep and stress disorders, as well as appetite loss. However, when used in high doses, it has been known to cause paranoia and anxiety in some people. Most strains on the market today are bred to contain a high THC content. The doses of cannabinoids vary depending on the strain of cannabis and how much is consumed. Cannabidiol is a non-psychoactive cannabinoid, which allows patients to remain clear-headed by counteracting the THC, which produces a calming effect. This is ideal for those treating anxiety and sleep loss. It is also known to aid in low blood sugar, fighting pain, multiple sclerosis, stress disorders, inflammation, and epilepsy. Despite the countless strains available, cannabis can be categorized into three classes: cannabis sativa, cannabis indica, or cannabis ruderalis. Cannabis sativa is commonly known for causing head highs, while cannabis indica is known for causing body highs. There are also sativa and indica hybrids, which offer an energetic head high with a relaxing body high combination. Cannabis ruderalis is not a universally grown form of marijuana due to its small size and minimal THC levels. Each of these species comes in a variety of strains with differing levels of effects, taste, smell, and concentration of CBD and THC. Cannabis can be consumed in many different ways, such as smoking it, eating it, vaporizing. It can be consumed in an oil form, or it can be applied topically. When marijuana is consumed, cannabinoids bind to a cannabinoid receptor throughout the brain and the body. Different cannabinoids cause different effects depending on which receptors they bind to. THC in particular binds to receptors in the brain, while CBD prefers receptors located throughout the body. Smoking is the most common way to consume marijuana, followed closely by eating it. When THC is ingested or inhaled, it gets absorbed into the bloodstream, where it travels to the brain and attaches to the receptors. These receptors receive chemical signals from other cells, including pain, and nausea, and euphoria signals. When THC attaches to these receptors, the brain becomes overwhelmed and stops the neurotransmitters from doing their job. That is what leads to the relief of pain and nausea. Eating cannabis can be more intense and cause a stronger body effect with a psychedelic cerebral buzz in larger doses. When you ingest cannabis, THC is broken down by the liver. which then converts it to 11-hydroxy-THC. This substance has the ability to rapidly pass through the blood-brain barrier, in turn causing a more psychedelic effect. Conversely, THC that is inhaled travels through the blood to the brain, which results in different metabolic processes. This explains why the effects of smoking cannabis will come on almost immediately and subside more quickly. Though on the other hand, edibles can take a few hours to kick in, and the effects will last for several hours. The longevity is what may make edibles more preferred by those patients experiencing chronic pain. Users may also prefer edibles over smoking due to the fact that it cancels out any fear or worry of future possible lung damage.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about cocaine. First, a little history of the drug. The use of cocaine began thousands of years ago in South America by ancient Incans and other natives who chewed coca leaves to get their hearts racing and to speed their breathing, which was a nice sensation in the thin mountain air. The practice eventually became unpopular in the 1500s when Spanish conquistadors enslaved natives, forced them to work in mines, and also forced them to chew coca leaves to keep them up and working for long hours. Cocaine as we know it wasn't isolated until Albert Niemann successfully did in 1859. This German chemist described it as a colorless, transparent prism and said that its solutions have an alkaline reaction, a bitter taste, promote the flow of saliva, and leave a peculiar numbness, followed by a sense of cold when applied to the tongue. Niemann published his findings in 1860, and his dissertation earned him his PhD. Cocaine wasn't popularized until the 1880s, when doctors began prescribing it to their patients. Specifically, Sigmund Freud, the famous psychologist, was a huge advocate of the drug. In 1884, he published an article entitled Über Coca, which promoted the benefits of cocaine, calling it a, quote, magical substance. In 1886, the popularity of the drug got a further boost when John Pemberton included Coca-Cola leaves as an ingredient in his new soft drink, Coca-Cola. The euphoric and energizing effects on the consumer helped to skyrocket the popularity of Coca-Cola by the turn of the century. Cocaine use in society increased and the dangers of the drug gradually became more evident. Public pressure forced the Coca-Cola company to remove the cocaine from the soft drink in 1903. Eventually, in 1922, cocaine was made illegal in the United States. It didn't become popular until the 1970s, when cocaine emerged as the new fashionable drug for entertainers and business people. It seemed to be the perfect companion for a trip into the fast lane. High demand for the drug brought about the Medellin and Cali cartels in Colombia. Pictured here is Pablo Escobar, the head of the Medellin cartel, who through the 80s and 90s produced thousands of tons of cocaine, making billions of dollars in the process. As of today, cocaine is the second most trafficked illegal drug in the world. Alright, let's talk a little bit about the chemistry of cocaine. Cocaine is an alkaloid and a member of a broad group of plant substances that also includes nicotine, caffeine, and morphine. The chemical name for cocaine is benzoyl methyl-ecgonine. Cocaine's chemical structure consists of three parts: a lipophilic group, a hydrophilic group, and an aliphatic group. The chemical formula for cocaine is C17H21NO4. On the street, cocaine comes in two forms: hydrochloride salt or base. Medical literature is often ambiguous when differentiating between these two, which are actually the same chemical form of cocaine. Crack and freebase are made using different techniques though. Freebase is produced by dissolving cocaine hydrochloride in water, adding a base such as ammonia, and then adding a solvent, typically ether. The cocaine base is dissolved by the ether and is extracted by evaporation. There is a chance that the ether, which is highly volatile, may remain in the mixture and cause burns. Crack, on the other hand, is produced by dissolving cocaine hydrochloride in water, mixing it with ammonia or sodium bicarbonate, which is baking soda, and heating this mixture to remove hydrochloride. The remaining product is a soft mass that becomes hard when it dries. The name crack comes from the crackling sound made when the mixture is smoked. In its base form, cocaine can be smoked because it melts at a much lower temperature, 80 degrees Celsius, than cocaine hydrochloride, which melts at 180 degrees Celsius. With the increased prevalence of crack, which is made by a simpler and less dangerous process, the use of freebase has declined. Although crack is typically smoked, some users dissolve it with lemon juice and inject it.
Lysergic acid diethylamide, or LSD, or acid, or C20H25N30 is considered a hallucinogenic drug that was very popular in the 1970s and 80s. However, it is still used commonly today. LSD is one of the most potent mood-changing chemicals our world has ever seen. It is sold on the streets in small tablets called microdots, as well as capsules or gelatin squares called window panes. It can also be added to absorbent paper, which is then divided into small decorated squares with designs or cartoon characters on them called Looney Tunes. Occasionally, it is sold in liquid form, but no matter what form it comes in, LSD was first made by Albert Hofmann in Switzerland in 1938 from ergotamine, a chemical from the fungus ergot. He created the drug looking for a blood stimulant. However, its hallucinogenic effects were unknown until 1948 when Hofmann accidentally consumed some LSD. Today, the making of LSD can be very tricky. One who attempts to needs to be very familiar with organic chemistry. There are a couple different ways to make LSD. The most common recipe may start with lysergic acid. Chemists who make LSD must be extremely careful and have a good amount of knowledge and experience working with ergot because of its toxicity. An ergot alkaloid is an alkaloid compound containing basic nitrogen atoms. Having a dark room setup becomes necessary in the creation of LSD because the fungus in the ergot will decompose under bright lights. In fact, LSD itself can break down quickly when exposed to light. If everything thus far goes according to plan for the chemist, the ergot alkaloid is synthesized into lysergic acid compound called isolysergic acid hydrazide through the addition of chemical heating processes. The effects of LSD are unpredictable. They depend on the amount taken, the person's mood and personality, as well as the surroundings in which the drug is used. It is a roll of the dice, a racing disordered high or a severe paranoid low. Normally, the effects of LSD are experienced 30 to 90 minutes after taking the drug. Often, the pupils become dilated, the body temperature can become higher or lower, while the blood pressure and heart rate either increase or decrease. Sweating or chills are not uncommon. Some LSD users experience an intense bliss they mistaken for enlightenment. Not only do users disassociate from their usual activities in life, but they also feel the urge to keep taking more of the drug in order to re experience the same sensation. Others experience severe, terrifying thoughts and feelings. fear of losing control, fear of insanity and death, as well as despair while using LSD. Once it starts, there's often no stopping a quote unquote bad trip, which can go on for up to 12 hours. In fact, some people never recover from an acid induced psychosis. Some users take LSD to help themselves find spiritual guidance or life purpose. In my opinion, it would not be fair for me or anyone else to try to conclude whether this works for those individuals or not. However, I can say,
so in this slide, we'll be talking about the drug called heroin. So what is heroin? Heroin is an addictive drug produced from a compound called deacetylmorphine. It can be used for smoking or, with a weak acid, be used for injection. It is an opium derivative, which means that the drug is abused, there will be severe damage to the user physically and mentally. It is also a crudely preparation of diamorphine, which is a compound that is used to treat severe pain. Side effects of diamorphine include drowsiness, euphoria, or intense feelings of joy and a sense of detachment. So here is a little background of heroin. Heroin is basically an opium drug. In the mid to late 1800s, opium was a very popular drug, and which were imported to America when the Chinese immigrants came to work on the railroads. Alcoholism was a big problem during the time, and by the late 1800s, opium was promoted as the cure for alcoholism. It became known as the painkiller by 1810 because in the later years, opium was very popular in the medical field and the benefits of reducing pain and suffering of the patients. However, the addiction of the drug was unnoticed until after the American Civil War. Soon, thousands of people became morphine addicts, and another conflict began to develop from this drug. It was later found that the drug was actually invented in Germany to now what is known as heroin, which was imported to the US after it was made. The sales said to the medical professions and patients that heroin was a safe, non-addictive substitute for morphine. Marketing campaigns also advertised that this drug was the cure from alcohol to cancer, depression, coughs, colds, and other symptoms that many patients have encountered. As a result, the heroin addiction was born and has been very common in the US to this very day. Congress realized that this drug was dangerous, and in 1920, they released the Dangerous Drug Act, which made the purchase of this drug illegal. However, in 1925, there is an estimation of about 200,000 heroin addicts in the US, and the marketing is still persisting to illegally sell this drug to this very day. So here's the chemistry of heroin. The drug consists of many substances, including carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen pentoxide. There are 21 atoms in carbon, 23 atoms in hydrogen, and 5 atoms in nitrogen pentoxide. The molecular weight of this drug is 369.42 grams per mole, and the melting point ranges from about 243 to 244 degrees Celsius. Alternate names for the heroin compound include diamorphine and acetylmorphine.